I'm revisiting the narrow leaf willow, a California native. There's a few of them right here, and I filmed them freshly after they were stripped bare by the goats. Now, this is deciduous, so it does shed its leaves naturally, but it never even had a chance to shed. The ground never had a chance to enjoy the leaves. The wildlife were deprived of the use of the leaves. By the way, this is an extremely important tree for wildlife, in particular birds. Even bees are attracted to them. So we're just now on March 9th seeing some new leaves. And again, it's a little bit of a complicated one to associate with the goats, since it would be sprouting new leaves anyway, but it wouldn't have been bare for the rest of the year, and it wouldn't have had this done to it. And as you can see, since I'm snagged on it as we speak, the Himalayan blackberry, the invasive Himalayan blackberry that the goats supposedly get rid of, is alive and well and continuing to expand and indeed crawl through, climb up, and choke out native vegetation, such as not limited to ground vegetation, but up in trees. I've seen it all the way to the tops of some of the oak trees. Again, the only thing that happened in terms of managing the Himalayan blackberry was to remove the only good things that you could possibly say about the invasive plant, in that it provided some leaves, and if it's not a terrible drought year, it'll provide some berries. Well, guess what the goats ate? The leaves and the berries. Left all the spiny, stemmy vines and did not hinder the expansion of the plant whatsoever. All this impenetrable stuff is vegetation that's not supposed to be here. Here's a great counter example to the narrowleaf willow that we just looked at. This is interior live oak, also California native, but it is not deciduous. It will voluntarily shed leaves when necessary, but otherwise it does not. But you can see that it was stripped bare. It was stripped bare back in September, and this is the extent of the recovery of the areas that were fed upon by the goats. Now, if I pan up out of the reach of the goats, you see what this tree should look like. So again, we have two native tree species negatively impacted by the goat grazing. Not only does it hinder the tree, but the goats consumed all of the reachable leaves that native animals would lightly browse on. Not strip bare, but lightly browse upon. And all the cover. Like, I can now see wildlife that I would not normally see from a distance, because they're standing behind branches that would, if covered in leaves, be covering them. Nope, not anymore. Consider how long that's been. I very, very sadly had an ecology professor say, well, they'll recover. That's not very ecologically minded, is it? You're pretty much omitting every important role that the plant plays throughout all the other months of the year, when it should not have been stripped bare. And at this rate of recovery, it's going to be almost time for the goats to come back and strip it bare just as soon as it has finally managed to grow leaves again. A little positive here, we have a couple of California poppies, but they are in an absolute sea of broadleaf fillery, a terrible, terrible invasive. More of the annual European grasses, and of course the ever-present blanket of goat shit. Even after these crazy storms, the poop remains. There's just so much of it. As far as the eye can see, that's covered in poop. Here we have a even more dramatic example of the damage done to the interior live oak. Look at the top. Now look at the area exposed to the goats. Pretty hard for anything to hide in there anymore, right?